Hum, let us stop feeling in meditation once we know this. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Nothing dispels the disinformation, misinformation, mythology, and superstition surrounding mindfulness and meditation quite like neuroscience. Let us begin by considering mindfulness. Every time we inhale, we are wired to access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us notice in a very special way. Vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is quite antithetical to the rigidity and controlling tendencies inherent to concentration. But what have we evolved to notice? We have evolved to notice perceptions, such as seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. We have also evolved to notice the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. If this mindfulness is the natural function of our sympathetic nervous system, then why do we sit down every 12 hours or so to formally practice? Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this or the verb noticing during our inhalation, we interrupt the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to compete against our sympathetic nervous system, and instead we set space for these two to cooperate. Well, what are we to do with all that we notice? With each inhalation, we are wired to notice all manner of things, from the internal to the external, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all this stuff? Meditate. One moment. Let us continue. So come, let us explore the neuroscience of meditation. Each time we exhale, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord we mentioned previously. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support our physical relaxation and mental release. Of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation, to the point that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, any good English teacher could remind us that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. One moment, if you please. Whoops, that was what we call a coordination challenge. Whoop, something's going on here. Okay, something's really going on here. Having some trouble with Word. Oh boy. I am having some trouble with my computer. Please bear with me. I'm really having some problems here. Please bear with me. Let's go back to B, books, meditation manuals, easy enlightenment. Well, nothing is working right now. This is really concerning. Okay, so I'm trying to open. Guys, I gotta stop. My computer is freaking out. I really apologize for the inconvenience. I don't know a way around this without restarting the whole thing. Let me try one more time. Okay, let's go back to page 88. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now let's go over here and see if it's showing up. Okay, well that was super exciting. Let's go back over here and begin with the pronoun this. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support our physical relaxation as well as mental release of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to the point that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, any good English teacher could remind us that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So we have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful, cloudless morn, which although compelling to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand? Thus we could see emptiness only makes sense. Take two. Thus, as we could see, emptiness only makes sense when seen through a flexible worldview that accepts that not all statements are literal, requiring blind faith or pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics. For some of us, sitting in mindfulness and meditation for about an hour twice daily is absolutely no problem. However, some of us could require a more gradual or hedonistic approach. Thus, sitting in mindfulness and meditation for about 5 minutes every 12 hours or so could be a good start. The second week, that could be lengthened to 10 minutes every 12 hours. The third week, that could be lengthened to 15 minutes every 12 hours. Over the course of 12 weeks, one could progress by an additional 5 minutes every week, and thusly condition one's body and mind to sit for an hour every 12 hours or so. One of the benefits of this incremental approach is that it could give our body, mind, partner, pets, children, and schedule an opportunity to gently acclimate to this lifestyle change. One might ask if this relaxing and releasing is the natural behavior of our parasympathetic nervous system, then why bother sitting in mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so? Each time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease or the multisyllabic verb relaxing during our exhalation, we are interrupting the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to actively compete against our parasympathetic nervous system, and instead open space for these two to cooperate in a delightfully therapeutic manner. This is why the Buddha taught mindfulness and meditation. Okay, having completed our opening lesson as well as wrestled with the computer, it's time to shift gears. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. For more than 30 years, I harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyper-focus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. One moment, please. Please relaxingly recite with me. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. On the tip of our left little finger, we could rest the great knuckle. Oopsie, let's try this again. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. Quick review. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Each time we exhale, our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us physically relax and mentally release. Therefore, the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite noticing during each inhalation. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let us relaxingly recite an excerpt from the vast expanse of the demon-like mind. Composed 14 centuries ago by Prahevajra, translated by the late Chogyal Namkhai Norbu from Tibetan into Italian, translated by Adriana Clemente from the Italian into English. Adapted and amplified by yours truly. Together. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect, one should not rely on them. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect, one should not rely on them. Instead of making our decisions based on desire for some great metaphysical reward or fear of some supernatural punishment, we should allow our decisions to flow with the effortless effort of centered spontaneity that is generated from our regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. The more we do so, the more we will find that our choices and utterances and our deeds are influenced by the wisdom of love. To make decision using any other mechanism is to assume, is to pretend that complex life forms on this planet have not evolved empathy, have not evolved the anterior cingulate gyrus. It is to pretend that we don't have a Buddha nature, that we don't have the neurological equipment to notice, release, and love. But we do. There was a time perhaps that had to be taken on blind faith, but now through the wonders of science, we've seen these mechanisms in our central nervous system that make enlightenment possible. Let's continue. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect, one should not rely on them. Let's make sure this fits nicely in the display. Cool. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. So there is an idea in Dzogchen of ground, path, and fruit. The ground is our Buddha nature. The path is cooperating with our Buddha nature to notice and relax. The fruit is mastery of the path, being able to do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Kind of like the way no child is born knowing, no infant is born knowing how to use the toilet or brush their teeth or tie their shoes or ride a bicycle. And yet, by the time most children enter first grade, they can do those things so well that they practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Let's continue. One moment, if you please. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. One moment, if you please. Okay, good. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. Let us consider mindfulness. Each time we inhale, due to the sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now let us consider meditation. Every time we exhale, due to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to physically relax and mentally release. In essence, in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite, noticing and relaxing. I'm going to tap button 5, and I just want to make sure that everything fits on the screen appropriately. So I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm going to hit this button here. Okay, and let's drag, well, first things first, let's lock that. Let's adjust the webcam, drag that over to the right. Okay. And now I get to tap this button. Once again, I get to tap lesson, and I get to tap transform and center horizontally. There we go. I get to lock it down and return to the webcam. Oh, the wonders of OBS. Hey, kids. Well, I guess while I'm at it, I might as well check the left margin. And let's hit Alt. Okay. And again, let us center horizontally. I apologize for the mid-class technical snafu. And once again, I get to center the webcam or adjust the webcam. Okay. Well, there we go. Let us relaxingly recite. The three times are one, without distinction. Without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Past, present, or future, whatever past, present, or future let's try this again. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever past, present, or future we notice during our previous inhalation can feel as non-graspable as the vast empty void. They are all unified ultimately by their non-graspable nature. Since all pervaded by the Dharmakaya are the same, it abides in nature as total greatness. Dharmakaya is one of the many nicknames for the mastery of noticing and relaxing. The three times are one, without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Since all, pervaded by the Dharmakaya, are the same, and abides in nature as total greatness. The three times are one, without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Since all pervaded by the Dharmakaya are the same. One moment, this is in need of editing. The three times are one, without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Since all are the same, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. The three times are one, without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Since all are one, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. By way of review, let's review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, our sympathetic nervous system helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Now let us turn our attention to meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, during each inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite noticing, and during each exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite relaxing. Good morning, and welcome to the final quarter of this morning's live stream. Now, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let us relaxingly recite the following passage 4 times. Finding oneself in the 3 realms of existence, all is just a name and a magical illusion. Even the great status of a Chakravartin universal king, being a magical illusion, is but an abode to purify. As they used to say on South Park, what? Let's start with the first couplet. Finding oneself in the 3 realms of existence, all is just a name and a magical illusion. The 3 realms of existence is just a way of describing how things could seem as we meditate. Let's pretend we were going to meditate for an hour. The first 20 minutes our perceptions might be defined by various desires. The second 20 minutes, our perceptions may be defined by forms without desire or with dampened desire. And the final third of the hour, our perceptions could be defined by the formless. Our job is not to make that happen. Whether we experience that or not is irrelevant. For any sort of perception or description or label is funny. As we relax into our exhalation, any label could feel as, let's rephrase this again. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever labels we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a magical illusion. Let's continue with the word even. Even the great status of a Chakravartin universal king, being a magical illusion, is but an abode to purify. This is a reference to Indian mythology. There was the idea that there was a real or universal king of the universe. And what is being inferred in this passage is the following. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever real or imagined universal king we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as an illusionist's trick. Therefore, any role in society, from the lowest to the highest, is something to simply notice as we breathe in and release as we breathe out. Let us continue with our recitation. Finding oneself in the 3 realms of existence, all is just a name and a magical illusion. Even the great status of a Chakravartin universal king, being a magical illusion, is but an abode to purify. Final repetition. Let's make it count. Finding oneself in the 3 realms of existence, all is just a name and a magical illusion. Even the great status of a Chakravartin universal king, being a magical illusion, is but an abode to purify. Upon the tip of our left little finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the bladder region of our lower abdomen. By way of review, let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, our sympathetic nervous system helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all manner of things, from the dangerous to the safe, from the scarce to the abundant, from the painful to the pleasurable, from the scornful to the praising, from shame to fame, and all points in between. Let us consider meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, during each inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite noticing, and during each exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite relaxing. Allow me to remind you, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 9 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.